Welcome back to Black News Tonight. Last week, following the shock of Bill Cosby's release from prison, I had famous TV judge Joe Brown come on the show. The interview was, quite frankly, quite disturbing. In fact, as I said on the show, I considered it to be the most disturbing interview I'd ever had in my life. And sadly, it went viral. Went everywhere on YouTube, went on blog sites, gossip sites. It was a lot to handle, and of course, there's a trigger warning. I want to offer a trigger warning for anyone on the basis of conversations around sexual violence, sexual assault, etc. But I want you to take a quick look at a piece of a clip from the conversation with Joe Brown. If you give someone drugs and alcohol, even if they want to take the drugs and alcohol, if they get to a point where they are inebriated, where they are high or drunk, you cannot have sex with them. It is not sex, it becomes rape. And even by the legal standard that you're saying we should appeal to...
That's only the law in certain states. It's not for every state. And it goes into the same philosophy. It goes into the same thing. I didn't know I was going to get that drunk, so it ain't my fault I got a DUI and kill somebody.
What Judge Joe Brown said was wrong. We do not make excuses for sexual violence, and we do not accept victim blaming here at Black News Tonight, or we shouldn't do it anywhere in our community or in our society. So I wanted to have a deeper and more honest conversation, not just about Bill Cosby, but really about rape culture more broadly. And so I wanted to bring in two experts, two extraordinary activists, scholars, leaders who are at the forefront of tackling this issue, and they're long-distance runners in this battle. Salamishah Tillet is professor of African American Studies at Rutgers University, Newark, and she's the co-founder of A Long Walk Home. Also joining us is Aishah Simmons. She's the director of No, the Rape documentary. I want to welcome you both to the show. Aishah, I'm going to start with you. As you just heard, Joe Brown said, the law isn't there to protect people from being stupid. And honestly, I've been hearing this on the internet all week. I've been hearing people talk about this idea that these women knew what they're getting into if they're messing with in a hotel room at 3 in the morning, that, you know, that it's their bad choices that led to whatever outcome happens. How do we begin to challenge that conversation, or even to unpack that conversation? Because there are a lot of people who are watching this show who may have the same idea, the same sensibility.
You know, I mean, I think that this is a reality of rape culture, which is the environment in which rape is prevalent and sexual violence is normalized. But when we're talking about it in Black communities, when we're talking about intraracial violence, I always encourage people to think about this through a racial lens, that in many ways we can do parallels in terms of how many in our community blame survivors for the violation that happens to their body. That this is what white folks do to us. Well, what was he doing with his pants down? Or he looks suspicious. Like we do these same direct parallels, but yet we are very clear that does not give any police officer or white vigilante the right to murder someone. And so to me, it makes me actually want to know, do people understand what rape is? That it is terrorism, and it is something. It is speaking as a survivor. Let me be very clear: I'm a survivor of rape and childhood sexual abuse. It is something that takes years to get over, and many of us don't get over it. And so, poor judgment should never, ever. The penalty for poor judgment should never be rape, and we need to ask ourselves, why are we so willing to accept that?
Now, Aishah, there are some people who would say, at least in the case of Cosby and other similar circumstances, that this isn't rape because these women willingly drank. They willingly took a pill, although there's some debate in the Cosby case about whether they knew they were taking Quaaludes or whether they thought they were taking Benadryl or something else. But let's stipulate for a minute that they knew that they were going to be taking where you're inebriated, where you're drunk, where you're high, where you can't consent. That doesn't mean that the other person can make choices for you about sexual practice. I don't want to call it sex because it's rape, but the other person can't make those choices for you. So I can consent to drugs and alcohol. That doesn't mean that I've consented to sex. Is that a fair analysis?
I agree with you. Yes, consent. You know, I can. I mean, there's some people who say because I say yes to go on a date that I have therefore consented to anything else that happens afterwards. And I think that taking drinks, drinking, getting high, is not a license to rape. And again, I think we have to begin to ask ourselves, what are we saying? And I think we really need to think about what is the act of rape, because I think because rape the sex act is involved with rape. You know, you need sex in order to rape folks, and you know, and so I think that people therefore conflate the two, that because sex can be pleasurable, that then therefore people think, oh, well, she just didn't have a good experience. And it's just like, you know, people, survivors, we don't, at the time of rape, we don't know when it's going to end, if it's going to end, how it's going to end. And particularly when we are unconscious or inebriated, I mean, I don't understand why the onus isn't on, why would someone want to, as many people have said, you know, do a body invasion? That's what rape is. It is invading someone's body against their will. And I think that rape has just become a word, and we don't think about the entire experience. And it reminds me around enslavement. Slavery becomes a word. We don't think about the horror. And I think that as Black people, we have to really unpack this.
One of the ways that we unpack this, Salamishah, is by unpacking this word rape culture that Aishah used and that many people use. What is rape culture? Why is the word culture so important here as opposed to just saying rape?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's part of what why people can have this kind of knee-jerk defense of Cosby, right? Because we're all brought up in a culture or in a society that not only has laws or has behaviors and attitudes, but also media narratives that up until really Me Too condone pervasive violence against women, sexual violence against women primarily. So rape culture is a term that comes about in the 1970s to define an entire system that makes rape permissible and that justifies the ongoing terrorism that uses sex to violate people. So that's what rape culture is. And, you know, you can see it whether it's from, you know, a film, you know, that in which a Woody Allen film in which an older man is sleeping with an underage person, or it's from lyrics, or it's from laws that make it hard for survivors to come forward and find justice. So there's all these ways in which rape culture permeates and is something that overwhelms all of us as everyday citizens, but it's how we're brought up to think about rape as something that's natural, that's normal, and that it primarily is the right of certain people to violate other people, regardless of the circumstance, including if they are intoxicated or unconscious. I mean, that's as extreme as it gets, and yet that's the conversation we're having right now. If someone is unconscious or intoxicated or has drugs in their system, if they have the right to be able to then say that made them vulnerable to assault. I mean, that's kind of crazy. But I also just don't understand the defense of Cosby anymore. Just say outside of like the many women who've come forward and said that they've been sexually assaulted, including Black women, many Black women. Cosby's already shown not to be a good person to Black America. He's shown in the early 2000s to have a real disregard and disdain for Black life, and particularly Black working class people. So I don't understand why we're still debating if Cosby's someone we need to support or not, because he's already proven, even according to the racial logic that many of us operate under, he's already proven to be someone that we shouldn't support.
I think part of it is because the situation, I've had these conversations publicly, privately, on the record, off the record, and it seems to me that part of the issue is that many of the men who are defending Cosby have found themselves in similar circumstances. And, yes. to determine that Cosby's choices would amount to rape would mean that we'd have to have a self-critical analysis of ourselves and make some determinations about our own behaviors in the past. And for some people, it's about reserving the right to make those choices later. You talk about rape culture. You know, we're taught, you know, I mean, songs, can I buy you a drink, right? The whole idea is that if you buy enough drinks, she'll relax, she'll make different choices, right? There's this idea that has become normalized. I mean, you can watch a television show, for example, or a movie about somebody going to prison, and they'll say, don't drop the soap. That's a rape joke. I mean, and that's a PG-13 movie. That's not a rated R movie. That's a PG or PG-13 movie. So we've normalized this stuff in so many ways. But the other thing we've normalized, Salamishah, is this idea of not believing survivors, not believing people who were told. Because your point is, if there's 60 people saying Cosby did it or whatever, why isn't this a compelling or persuasive argument? And the truth is, we're told women be lying. People just be saying stuff. They get buyer's remorse, all this stuff. Why is it so hard to believe the voices of those who say that they were sexually assaulted?
Well, I mean, I think what's unique about the Cosby case, even though you're right that it brings up, everyday, I guess people's consciousness are being picked on, and then they have to figure out, did I rape this person or did I not rape this person? But with Cosby, I mean, he already went on record saying, usually you don't have anyone go on record saying that they've committed an act of rape. And so with Cosby, we have that. And so therefore, the level of disassociation and the level of just the kind of mental gymnastics that Judge Joe Brown had to do in your conversation last week is pretty astonishing, given the fact that Cosby has already said that I did this. So, and it's almost as if, right, with Roman Polanski, when people defend him, he's already said that he's committed the act of rape. So to defend someone who's already admitted to it, I don't even know where that comes from. I mean, it's pretty astonishing because basically they've already said they've done this. So you're saying that you don't believe them and you don't believe the women that came forward and said that they've been sexually assaulted. So basically you have to construct a whole world, a whole lie in order to validate Cosby that even Cosby himself isn't saying. So it's just that's how deep rape culture gets. And I think the reason you're asking us is because it's so foundational, it's so fundamental. I mean, so much sexual assault happens in the home first and then gets exported out into the world. And so it's such a founding violence, whether it's for individuals in their home or for us as a society. When Aishah brought up slavery, I mean, it's so fundamental to the American. Yeah, sorry, it's fundamental to who we are as Americans and who we are as Black people. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And just for clarity's sake, and also so we don't get sued, what Bill Cosby has conceded to or acknowledged is that he gave women drugs for the purpose of having sex with them. He has not defined that as rape. We, in our analysis of what he did, is saying that is an example of rape. I'm with you, but I just want to be very clear that specifically what Dr. I'm not disputing your analysis, but I'm just saying I'm with you. I'm with you. I just want to be very clear about what Dr. Cosby is very specifically said. Yes. He has not admitted to being a rapist. What he's admitted to is giving.
No, he has not. Yes. But under the law in Pennsylvania, that is considered rape. So he's not admitted to having raped. He's admitted to what is considered rape under the law. And therefore, anyone who has to justify him has to do. Yeah, no, of course. I mean, he isn't. He's very staunchly saying that he did not do these things.
Absolutely. I got to run, but I want to thank you both, and we'll be having you both back because this is a conversation that we have to have in our community on a regular basis. This is something that we have to dismantle and ultimately eliminate from our society. So thank you both, Aishah and Salamishah. Everybody, let us know what you're thinking. Hit us up on our Instagram and Twitter pages at BNC News, and be sure to visit the website bnc.tv. Coming up next.